Daily Detroit is brought to you by the community. Support our work at patreon.com/dailydetroit.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Daily Detroit for Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. I am Jer Stays, and, well, this episode's a little different because we're recording it in two parts because we thought we had it wrapped up, Fletcher Sharpe, and then news.
Yeah, that's the nature of the beast with news is you think your stuff is done and then all of a sudden more stuff.
For sure. So the other part of this episode, most of this episode, will be recorded at the Daily Detroit studio in Techtown. You and I are getting together. It's kind of late at night to talk about first little Detroit City FC. Later in the episode, we're going to be talking about the Lions. We're going to be talking about Dylan Larkin, who was placed on the injured reserve without a time frame, which I think opens up some other questions about safety and the NHL. So let's jump into this Detroit City FC news really quick. They have signed Nate Steinwascher, re-signed him, brought him back 2 years, 2-year deal. Thoughts?
It was at first, there was some rumors reported that he wasn't resigning at that moment, which I'm sure caused a lot of fear among a lot of the fans because he's bailed them out of a lot of situations from last year and the year before. So for him to resign, I'm sure makes a lot of people happy. Structurally for them, it allows him to keep one of their main stalwarts defensively. And yeah, just all around, it's someone who knows the organization pretty well. He's been a part of it for quite some time. So it's someone who allows them some sort of flexibility there defensively. You don't want to rely on him as much as you did last year because that's just not good ball. But it allows you to have some flexibility there and allows you to still be a competent team defensively. Now you got to worry about fixing it on the offensive side.
Yeah, there's nothing closer to a franchise player. I mean, franchise players don't exist in the USL, but nothing closer than Nate Steinwascher and Detroit City FC. The other name I want to mention really quick, Devin Amu-Mensah. That news came out a little bit earlier. I am glad to see the Black Arrow winner return.
Yeah, of course. You need someone like Devin on the back line to go with the flexibility we're talking about. He allows you to be able to kind of get some pressure. He can play center back. He can play on the wing, but he's someone who allows you to defend in totality as opposed to just, having your straight up center back get the ball and then hoof it up the field. He's someone who can have some exploration going forward, which is very helpful considering that some of their people creating on that side of the ball are not their forwards. So yeah, getting Devin back, who won the Black Arrow Award, for those who don't know, is the MVP for the team, named after Gil Heron, father of poet Gil Scott Heron, who played over in Scotland. It's really helpful. You like to build from that going forward.
Now, it's way too early to make predictions, but there are a number of people we will not see back, whether it's Adrian Billhart, Ryan Shello, Dario Suarez, Richard Ballard, O'Neill Fisher, Jalen Robinson, Aaron Bebo. That was somebody we actually expected to not return because he was on loan. We don't have any predictions yet, but I still think we're going to see some new faces coming in. And full credit to data. This is from the USL offseason tracker from none other than Mr. John Morrissey.
Some of those names I'm not surprised. Richard Ballard, I'm not surprised. He played really well when he played, but he played really well in his normal position. And a lot of the time, they did not use him the right way in the right position. So as a result, he was played improperly. Adrian Billhart just did not get an opportunity to succeed, which isn't really his fault. I mean, to a degree, if you're not going to produce, they can't really put you in games, which is fair. But it just kind of stinks because he came off of such a great season with Tormenta coming to the team and then did not really get the chance to show everyone what made him the player that he was there. Is a little unfortunate, but I mean, you get it. If you're not producing in practice, they can't really put you out there. And not to say he wasn't producing in practice because we don't necessarily know what was going on there, but something had to be going on if he didn't see the field at all.
So despite the asking of fans, we're holding off on our grades and judging so far, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really grade them off who they brought in. They brought back a forward, a defender, and a keeper. So, I mean, they're typically slow. Like, I know when they joined the USL Championship and then the last year and the year before, they were slow to get out the new faces. Like, that's not something that just comes out as quickly as before. I know a lot of the teams in the league get these new faces and transfers in from other clubs. I think they have a different financial bracket than Detroit is in currently. So they're able to do that a lot quicker. But I mean, I'm sure you'll see some new faces. I don't think you're going to go into it with the same exact team, or not even the same exact team, but no new faces integrated into the roster. I don't think that's something that they really think they can do and get away with, considering that they got in by the skin of their teeth the last 2 years into the playoffs. I think you'll see some additions, most likely in the attacking end, given looking at this list of people who've left. Most likely in the attacking end, probably some midfielders as well. Maybe one or two squad players on the defensive end to kind of fill out the rotation. But as of now, I'm pretty sure Steven Carroll, Matt Lewis, Devin Amu-Mensah, Michael Bryant, all back defensively, so you can expect it to be your center backing pair. You want to maybe get a left back to pair, so you have Reese Williams on the right. He can stay defensively. Maybe get some attacking wingers, so Reese Williams, again, can stay defensively. I can't stress that part enough. When your forward right back is busy playing wing, you're probably going to struggle to score goals because his job is to defend. And while Reese can do a lot of things, you'd rather he do the thing that he's the best at rather than do something that he might be okay at.
Let's jump into the past or the future to the Daily Detroit studio and get to the rest of the episode. The vibe is deteriorating with the Lions. This was a very difficult game to watch. That second half, losing 28-13 to the Bears, a game that I think we should have won. And I have moved from worried to concerned. I shared that on Threads. It breaks some Lions fans' hearts to think that, but it's not good, man. Like between Jared Goff and his inconsistency at the wrong time, along with the defense that, I mean, to be fair, they're often starting way different on the field than they should be. But yeah, this isn't good, man. And does this portend some problems ahead?
Well, the first half of the season, Aaron Glenn was doing some things right, but also like some things wrong, but the defense was able to compensate for it. The last few weeks, not really the case, but also I'm not going to heap all this on Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator. The offense has gotten really stale and like predictable. And like, yeah, Dan Campbell seems like a maverick when he's like, oh, we're going to run on first and second down because we're going to throw on third and also maybe go for it on fourth.
I do not like how often he's going for it on fourth.
When everyone knows you're going to go for it on fourth, they can then scheme for it. And if you don't change the stuff you're doing, you being a maverick looks like you just being normal. So it's to the point to where like when they line up for it, for the punt, when it's like by the 40-yard line, everyone's like, they're going to fake it. Like when even the commentators are like, they're probably going to fake this punt. Like your luster's gone. You got to do something to spark and change the offense, put a spark somewhere. And like, yeah, the defense should have been doing some things better. Yeah, that 4th and 16 where Aiden Hutchinson jumped across to give him a free play. Yeah, that wasn't great. Yeah, Jerry Jacobs getting beat every week like a drum is not great. But to be fair to them, like you said, they're starting at like having to play defense from like the 40-yard line and forward. Like if they, have the ball at their own 20 or 15 and they hold a team down there or they give up a whole 85-yard possession to score, then okay, I'm like, Aaron Glenn, what's up? But like when possession starts at like the 45-yard line, whether it's yours or the opponent's, and they come, that's on your offense. Like you got to actually hold the ball. To start the second half, they went 3 and out 3 times in a row. Like that can't happen. That cannot happen. Because like I said in the past, football, while it's a very brawny game of just people hitting each other into next year, it's also about scheming. Like it's also about using your brain and using the clock to your advantage. If I know your offense is very good, I'm going to make sure that my offense runs the ball against your defense to drain as much clock off as possible so you have much less time to be on there. If I know that, your defense is tired, I'm going to make sure my defense forces your offense off the field quickly so that my offense can get back on the field and then make your defense even more tired. And eventually, like even the best athletes, they get tired and they break. And then that's when you start seeing teams get gashed. That's what happened with the Lions, is their defense held for a majority of the game, the first half, and then they started to get a little tired. And then you watch them make mental mistakes, jumping offside on 4th and 16, some defensive coverages. And all of a sudden they started getting gashed for bigger and bigger plays. And they made Justin Fields look like he should be, an MVP candidate, which he's very much not. Not to say he's not talented, but that Bears team is god-awful. And the fact that they did that to the Lions is concerning. Also, I don't want to put all the blame on Jared Goff. I don't. But his decision making and him being very not mobile is starting to become a problem because offensive line they're banged up. They're doing the best they can. Penei Sewell typically plays on the right. They move him to the left to make up for someone being hurt. But like, you need someone who can move. And if teams can key in that the quarterback can't really move, unless you're like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, who can just find a way to get the ball out of your hand quickly to somebody, you got to be able to move. And I know there's been a lot of pressure for them to put in Hendon Hooker, who they just drafted out of Tennessee, backup quarterback, much more mobile guy, can throw on the run. But do you really want to put him in a situation with a bad offensive line and say, now go out there and win this game? Because if he fails, you're then going to blame him and say that he's trash and you want to get rid of him. So like, maybe let him grow into the role. I'm not saying that they need to like give Goff the rest of the season. They're going to be a playoff team unless they screw this up. Like,
which is a fear.
Unfortunately, as a lot of Lions fans, are probably looking, the Packers are only 2 games behind the Lions now for the NFC North. So that big lead they had is no longer big. The Lions still have to play Minnesota twice as well. So like, it's getting real creepy hours. If you want to lose to teams outside of your division. Losing to teams in your division really puts you in very hot water. So the Lions need to figure it out going forward.
Speaking of teams outside of the division, the Denver Broncos are next on Saturday. I gotta say, I'm a little bit, the Broncos are an okay team. They're above 500. This is a game that I feel less confident than I did 2 weeks ago.
Well, I mean, not only for the Lions, but the Broncos are streaking. Like, the Broncos at the beginning of the season were, like, bad. Russell Wilson was, like, the butt of so many jokes. And, like, now they're 7-6. They're a few games behind the Kansas City Chiefs to lead their division as well, kind of like the Packers and the Lions. So, like, yeah, they
destroyed the Chargers.
Yeah, the stock is for the Lions is kind of plummeting. The stock for the Broncos is kind of going up. So, like, it's kind of a really bad time to meet a team like that. And it's also not great to hear, but the rest of the Lions' schedule is full of teams with winning records. Broncos, Vikings, Cowboys, Vikings. So, yikes. It's going to be a very fast and furious finish. Hopefully they can pull it out. Because if not, they find a way to lose this division and potentially tumble out of the playoff picture, it's going to be like one of the worst things.
The shine will be off Dan Campbell.
Oh, no, he's got to go. Like, that's...
Really? That far?
If you go from being one of the best teams in the league at the beginning of the season to tumbling out of the playoffs, you got to go. I'm sorry, you got to go. Like, something you did is not maintaining, and something you're doing is not changing, and, like... If that's how you're going to, you got to go. I'm sorry, you got to go. Like, that's unacceptable. In my opinion, at least. I know people are happy with having a team that's like competent and like doing well so far, but like, if you really care, like, you want this to stop now, because no.
Against Denver, what do they need to do?
Stop making stupid plays. Jared Goff needs to stop fumbling the ball. The one with the center, I'm not going to blame him for that. That's the backup center. But, like, make better reads. Don't lead your receivers into getting their head knocked off. Something he can't do, unfortunately, is be more mobile. Get out of the pocket when you can. The Lions as a team need to get better plays on first down. They need to pick up more yards to make second and third down more manageable. And when it is fourth down and short and you're going to go for it, stop being cute. That 4th and 1 play where, like, they decided to do a delayed handoff, which lets the defense just come right in through the side. That was stupid. Don't try to be cute and be like, all right, what are we going to do? Delayed handoff, or we fake it here. No, like, because they're just blitzing in, and, like, all you do is leave yourself open to, like, getting hit in the backfield. Unless you have Barry Sanders back there, like, most running backs are not breaking 3 tackles in the backfield to go pick up 2 or 3 yards. That's not going to happen. So they just need to be more creative with their play calling. I guess be a bit more fearless with their play calling. Stop being so conservative when they're up at half, because it's bit them in the back the last 3 games. And just, yeah, go out there and play like the first half of the season Lions and not this current crop of Lions right now.
Red Wings fans had quite a scare with Dylan Larkin over the weekend playing the Senators. He got clocked in the back of the head near the net, just dropped. It just dropped. And then afterward, his teammate did a cross-check in retaliation. As we're recording this, the final penalties for that are undetermined. Fans were not happy with the penalties handed out on the ice. It wasn't a big penalty, but it had a big reaction. I can't help but think, Do we need to have the same conversation about CTE and concussions in the NHL and hockey that we do football? Because a stick to the back of the head, the punch, I can't help but see echoes of that.
Before we get to that part, the thing that annoys me the most about the situation with Larkin and David Perrin is the fact that David Perrin is having an NHL in-person hearing for his hit, which means he might end up having like a multiple game suspension, which for him, that's fair. Like, you shouldn't be hitting people in the head, period. For the people who hit Dylan Larkin, for them to not have the same thing happening, seeing as, like, you admitted, like, yes, what they did is illegal. It was a cross-check to the back of the head that's unsafe. You should be having an in-person hearing for that. Like, to say that's part of the game, no, that's not part of the game. If it was part of the game, they wouldn't have been penalized. But for David Perrin to have his in-person hearing for his retaliation on Zub, I don't like that. I don't like that the penalty is not even. I understand that he shouldn't have done that. If someone should have pulled him aside and been like, hey, man, we need you. Don't do that. But unfortunately, the person who would have done that was their captain, who was laying motionless on the ice. So not great. But to your question, I think the league is, starting to take some sort of notice to that, given the fact that way before they were wearing no helmets and now they are. But yeah, they need to take CTE more seriously in hockey, because not only are people getting hit in the head with sticks, but like getting checked into the boards with the whiplash or head, that's not a fun thing. And like, while it's probably not the same amount of hits that's maybe happened in an NFL game, it's the same veracity and same, ferociousness, because someone's maybe even a bit more, because instead of running full speed, they're skating, and you move faster skating than you do running. So can you imagine someone who's 220 pounds skating as fast as they can catch you against the board? So maybe someone might not have, the 12 concussions of an NFL safety, but they might have 4 or 5 hockey, football, boxing, in all the sports where where your head is getting hit, whether it's intentionally, whether it's unintentionally. Like, you need to have a protocol to make sure these people are okay, because like they're irreparably damaging their brains and their livelihood to like entertain people, and like you got to take care of those people as well.
But isn't that kind of the appeal of a lot of American sports? If you look at the sports that do well, I mean, I think about hockey fans, not only it's the hits, but the fights are part and parcel of the thing.
Brutality runs America, and football won't go away as a result. If they take fighting out of hockey, I'm sure hockey will just like die. You'll still have people who
It'll be the fifth sport.
The hockey purists will be like, I still love watching hockey.
Well, think of the kind of players that are loved by local fans over the years. I think about all the Red Wings, from Probert to McCarty. We love that scrappy underdog, that fighter. It's that more pugilistic role that sports fans love.
But to answer your question, yes, there should be more CTE stuff done for hockey, because maybe they're not using their heads like weapons, like say in football, but like they're getting blows to the head at a high rate.
All right, we'll end with a listener question. Dana writes in, Fletcher and Jer, why do you defend referees? It's kind of a downer. You don't join in. It's with DCFC, it's with the Lions, and it is annoying.
Well, because if you're blaming the ref for why you lost, you already lost. With the Lions, people want to say, the intentional grounding call against Justin Fields. Yeah, it shouldn't have. But also, the following play, you shouldn't have given up a touchdown on 4th and 6. It's on the players, the people on the field who can direct stuff. Yes, the refs have a situation where they're involved, but like they're not that involved. And if they are that involved, then like your players are doing something wrong.
Someone actually sent me a link that the Lions are more penalized than other teams, but one could also argue that there's a reason for that.
Yeah, lack of discipline. Like, that's what that is there's lack of discipline. And like, I don't know what goes on, but like with Jim Caldwell, I'll admit I love Jim Caldwell as a Lions coach. He did a lot of great things with that team, got a lot of great stuff out of some players who were not that good. I mean, he had some stars, obviously, but there were some players who were not good he got the best out of. But one of his biggest things against him was they were one of the most heavily penalized defenses during his tenure, and it's because there was lack of discipline. You'd see players pick up a holding call or pick up a personal foul, then immediately compound it with another personal foul. With the Lions, I hate to keep harping on the situation, but Aiden Hutchinson, typically a really smart guy, went to Michigan Catholic League School and Divine Child, so like he's got brains in there. Jumped offside, gave him a free play, which means to go for it. They went for it and scored. Jerry Jacobs taking the wrong route almost always defensively. Lack of discipline. It's not the refs do things that make you uncomfortable. I know fans want to say it's everyone against us. It's not. It's kind of your own team against you. Because if they were doing the right things properly, being disciplined, playing the right way, you wouldn't be in the situation.
Fletcher Sharpe, always good to talk to you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Remember, 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. Always appreciate the good review. Thank you to our members, patreon.com/dailydetroit for their support. And of course, as always, it is wonderful to be at Techtown in beautiful Detroit. With that, I am Jer Stays. Thank you so much for listening. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll talk tomorrow.